Next up, we're going to take a look at working with Git and just briefly reviewing some of the most common commands that you'll likely work with, just to get you used to this workflow a bit. So once again, I'm back in Visual Studio Code, and where we left off is we had moved our project around, so we have some changes, and we can see that Visual Studio by default picks it up. At this point, everything we have is local. We don't have anything else pushed to GitHub. So if we were to look at our GitHub repository right now, it's still just this. There's nothing else here for us, but we have all this locally. We need to get it there. A couple things first. So one of the most common commands, which you'll do, is a git branch. And by git branch, it's going to list out all of the branches that you have. In this case, we just have the one, main, and we'll create a new one later. But right now, we're working on main. And I will say that typically, you're not going to work directly on main. Best practice is to create your own branch and then what it's called merging to main. But for the first thing here, we're going to use that. So we have git branch. It shows all your branches. We have our changes here. If we want to add the changes to our local version of things, basically save it locally, we can do git add, and then you could list every single file, or if you want to say everything, you can do dot. So you can say git add everything. And what that's going to do is add it to your local instance of the branch, you could say. And you could check that by doing git status. So we can see here, we have what's called staged. Essentially, we've staged these files here, and it's all in green, meaning they're new. Now, the next move here is to commit them to the branch. So right now we've added them to the branch. So you can think of it as staging them. You're putting it in this intermediary level, but it's almost fully committed. If you use the word commit, so we'll do git commit, and then you need to give a commit message. So commit is really like it sounds, committing it to the branch. You're saying this is here. I'm ready to move on with, I'm ready to really save these changes. It's moving it from that staging. You do git commit -m because you have to give a message and some sort of description with what you're doing. Git commit, and then in quotes, give some sort of message. And I'll just call this initial commit. And this is what will show up on GitHub and people can see what you did. So let's do this, git commit, initial commit. And we can see it did that. And now all of this went away here because it's now part of the branch. And if we do git status again, you know, it's all on the branch. It's nothing there. But what it does say, let me clean this out. I think we're getting moving. I know we're moving quick here. If we do git status, we can see your branch is one ahead of main. So Git is realizing that you've just committed this change, but now you have more than what the original main branch had. So your local has further along changes than what is here. And that's fine, that's expected. So what we want to do now, in order to get it to GitHub, we need to what's called push to the branch. So the command is git push. And the way to easily get around pushing this here, there's some other things we could set up, but I'm going to keep this very simple, is git push origin head. And what that means is you're pushing to the origin of the branch. In this case, origin is main. This is the origin of what you're working on, and head meaning the head of the branch. So we're pushing this to the head of the branch. I know there's a lot, so go ahead and press enter. Now you may run into this error, but don't worry, we'll go through and fix this. Now, if you see this is essentially because we don't have access to write as our individual user to our repo yet. So to fix this, what we're going to do is create a personal token. There's a couple ways you could do this, but this is the way we'll do it. So back on GitHub, go up to settings, go up to your profile and then settings, scroll down to developer settings. From here, we are going to do a personal access token, generate new token. What's this token for? DBT training. We'll say however many days you want. I'm going to do 7 just to be safe. And then you can give the scope of what you want your access to. And I'm just going to give it full access because we don't want to play around. But obviously, Again, in a production style environment, you're not going to give full access. You're going to limit this, but I just don't want us to have any issues with our training. So go ahead and generate that token. And here it is. You want to keep this private. I'm showing you mine, but this is going to be deleted in 7 days. Okay, so from here, what we want to do is first copy this, and we're just going to put it locally here. So double click to open up a new file. Just drop it in there for the time being, because what we'll do is go back to our repo. I know this is a bit of a workaround, but this is all just getting us set up. And I want to copy this as well. Copy this. And the command we're going to run is ultimately going to be something like this. It's going to be git remote set URL origin, and then we need to give it our specific username and credential here. So we're going to say https // your username, which for me is hello KDS, but it'll be whatever your username is here, colon, then you copy your token. It's basically a username and password, so to speak. And then the rest we can copy from here. So we'll do at github.com/hello KDS or whatever yours is. And this is the remote URL that we want to set. So we basically want us to use this connection anytime we're trying to push something. So go ahead and paste that in here. Double check it looks right. Press enter. So now we should be set. So anytime we try to push or pull or do anything, we're going to be using these credentials and have full permissions. Now let's try this again. We can press up twice to go to the latest ones. Enter. And there we go, all set. We were able to connect, no issues. And if we go back to this now and refresh, there it is. Everything's in here. Here's our commit message, initial commit. It replaced our README with the default from DBT when we initialized the project. And we can see the contributors are myself. This is my local username. And we've now pushed those changes, initial changes, to GitHub